Hey, third graders, it's Mrs. Linderman coming to you today to talk a little bit about our writing. I'm going to go back and reread my explanatory essay, what I've got so far, and show you how I have put some text features in mine, all right? And then I'm going to show you your checklist that you're going to get today as well. So this is called Baking 101. Tasty. That's how I would describe baking. You might think baking is quick and easy, but it requires some planning. You need special tools, equipment, and ingredients if you want to do the job right. You'll also need recipes and a dash of creativity to impress your family and friends. If you enjoy making others happy, baking can be just the ticket that brings a smile to their face and yours. One important thing to know about baking is that it's an enjoyable and creative activity. You can make so many different creations. Cookies, cupcakes, and brownies can be customized by changing the flavors. You can add frosting for an extra shot of sweetness. You might even want to share these items with friends or neighbors. No one needs to eat an entire batch of cookies. If you love bread, try baking your own. You can add cinnamon or raisins, but if sweets aren't your jam, try making a savory loaf with cheese or garlic as a tasty addition. Using dough to make cinnamon rolls for breakfast is a favorite treat. If you enjoy baking for a crowd, try your hand at pies, cakes, or tarts. Fruit makes a flavorful addition or try adding sprinkles and decorations to create a show-stopping masterpiece that's sure to inspire others. Another important thing to know about baking is having the correct tools and supplies available. Would you use a fork to dig a hole? I didn't think so. In baking, it's important to use the correct tools too. When mixing ingredients, you'll probably want to use a bowl. They come in all shapes and sizes. The sky's the limit. In order to combine or mix your ingredients, rubber spatulas, wooden spoons, and whisks work best, depending on the task at hand. Once your baking is complete, you'll definitely need a flat spatula to remove your baked goods from the pan. Speaking of pans, whether you like to bake cakes, cookies, or muffins, it's important that you have the right type of bakeware. When creating a cake, cake pans are a must. They come in circles, squares, and even animal shapes. Cookies are best made on a cookie sheet. Muffins can be mini, average-sized, or giant. You have a variety of types to choose from. Baking is an exact science, so it is important to be accurate and precise. Measuring cups and measuring spoons will be a necessary tool to have in your kitchen to make sure you'll use the right amount of ingredients when you bake. There are some basic ingredients you'll want to stock up on. Most recipes call for some combination of flour, sugar, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. Vanilla, eggs, and brown sugar are also good to keep in stock so you can be ready to bake when the mood strikes. Now, that was my first paragraph, right? My top triangle, my first rectangle, my second rectangle, and now I'm going to show you on the next slide. I put in some text features. So you can see I labeled this important baking tools, and then I've got some utensils, and I've labeled those, right? So those pictures of a wooden spoon and a whisk and a rubber spatula. There are pans over here, right? Different types of pans that you might use. And then, I'll move my picture up here, measuring tools at the bottom. So the spoons and the measuring cups that I was talking about. So this is how you're going to get started, right? Your first slide will have your title. This will be your top triangle, rectangle, rectangle. And then here's where I decided to put in one of my text features. So my next page will be my third and final rectangle. I wanted to also show you, you're going to have this available to you. It's a writing checklist. It's kind of like you going through and saying, yep, these are the things I have in my writing. So you can do this as you work on it. You can do it at the very end when you get finished. You will not turn this in. This is a guide for you. But here's what your writing needs to include. Okay, it's information that is grouped into sections. And you're going to have 5 paragraphs or 5 different slides with information on there. You're going to have a lead that prepares your reader to read about the subject. So my lead talked all about baking, right? You're going to need to do the same thing. You also need to include transitions, right? Like maybe the word first or another reason, right? You have to pay attention because not all of these different transition words we've talked about work with every essay, okay? You're going to need an ending that causes your reader to reflect on your topic. And you're going to be asked to offer them some advice or to maybe share your feelings about this topic. You also need to use some expert words that teach your reader a lot about the subject that you're sharing, right? Using that vocabulary that's specific to your topic. So if you're talking about football equipment, you're going to want to use the real name, like cleats, right? And the helmet. If there's special names, right? Maybe a mouth guard. You want to make sure that you use that specific vocabulary. And then you're also going to have to include at least one text feature. Remember, you had that whole list of text features that we shared earlier. I gave a couple examples here: drawings, captions, diagrams, things like that. You want to make sure you have at least one in your writing. Okay, and if you'll notice at the top, not yet, if you haven't done it yet, mark that box so as you can remind yourself. Maybe you can highlight it. Oh yeah, I need to make sure I do this. So either not yet, starting to, or yes, I've got this. This will be up to you if you want to use this checklist as you write your essay, or if you want to do it at the end, you might have to go back and add some things. So this is the first page of your checklist. The second page has to do with editing. And remember, we talked about editing during our personal narrative unit. Editing is something that anybody can do, right? Looking at your paper to see if you've done all these correct things. Not revising it and making it better. This is just having another set of eyeballs on it to see if they can find some mistakes. So your writing needs to include things that you've learned about spelling patterns, right? That are going to help you. Your red words should be spelled correctly. Right? And think about all those rules that you've learned about writing, like the magic E, right? Different things like that. Those should be evident in your writing. Punctuation comes at the end of every sentence. Here are your three options. Did you correctly punctuate dialogue with the commas and those quotation marks if you included dialogue in this essay? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I'm not going to put dialogue in mine, but that doesn't mean you can't. And then finally, did you collaborate with others to check your spelling and punctuation? If we were in the classroom, you'd be doing that with somebody in our class, right? Working together and checking each other's. You can't do that through Zoom, right? So you're going to have somebody else at your house look it over, give you feedback. They need to check spelling for you, and they need to check some punctuation, okay? I want you to try your best on that. So you're going to have access to this document to be able to guide you as you work on your explanatory essay. All right? Be a writer today and every day.